By the time February rolls around, snowbanks grow deep and patience for warmth runs thin.
I look forward to the spring.
It happens every winter.
It's almost like an icicle out here. You turn into one no matter how many clothes you got on.
Folks wishing we could skip past winter and land in any month that didn't feature negative temps.
Anybody would prefer the warm besides this.
When it's this cold, all you can do is dream of those hot summer days that will eventually get here.
You know the ones when it's hot and sticky out here at the Iowa State Fairgrounds.
Instead of frigid, can I get some corn dog?
Sure. The only snow out here in August is scooped into cones and sold for $3.
Oh, I can make a fortune.
It just goes to show the grass is always greener on the other side of the tree. Because who wouldn't want to take just a few steps and fast forward all the way to summer right about now? This feels good, except for the layers. Oh, I can use a few right now. This is frigid.
But before you get too excited,
sticky hot, yes.
Remember what August is really like.
It was just so humid and hot. It just made you feel miserable. You sweated through your clothes. It was terrible.
When the heat index tops 100, people beg for the ice we are sick of.
The only thing that kept me cool was keeping my hands in the ice and keeping my arms cool.
Too hot, we complain.
It was hot, I mean, really.
When it's too cold,
not bad weather lately.
The same. This is what makes those 72 and sunny days even sweeter.
Knowing that there's only, 5-6 weeks before spring's going to arrive here for long.
Yeah, keep you updated on that tornado warning, especially down in Union County. We are getting reports that the same cell did produce damage on the west side of Lenox. That's just coming into the Weather Center. So some damage reports coming in out of Lenox. Tornado warning down and through Union County. Matter of fact, we'll zoom a little for you and show you just around the Kent area and off to the west of Kent. We take you along Highway 34. Most folks familiar with that. And then also down around Highway 25.
The size and the scope of the destruction here in Joplin is just incomprehensible, and it goes on for block after block, mile after mile. Stop and look around, and all you see is this.
A day and a half after Joplin's monster moved through, the sun finally rose, exposing a debris field that stretches for miles. Every block in its path chewed up, every home blown to bits. Every survivor trying to comprehend what just happened to their lives.
We find that we're just having trouble almost thinking, processing, just because of just so much. There's just so much going on.
The Darbys rode out the storm in a bathtub.
It hit so fast and so hard, and it just wouldn't stop. It just kept coming and coming and coming.
And climbed out to find out they couldn't find anything.
Not really. Some Hot Wheels. Some Hot Wheels. You know, not really.
But right there, next to the couch, they found heartbreak. Lacey's 86-year-old grandma covered in her blanket. Between sifting and scrounging, more than 100 families here have funerals to plan.
Yeah, I'm just, I'll be honest, we're one thing at a time. Yeah. I'm not sure if, that's.
But up the street, it's even worse.
Everybody was huddling with each other, and then everybody was just sucked out of the house. Everybody went different directions.
Including a 16-month-old boy no one can find.
Still today, no hospital has him. We checked the morgue yesterday. He's not in the morgue, so we don't know where he's at.
You have to sift through the rubble to find it, but there are signs of hope in this cleanup job that will go on for months, if not years. I'm Eric Hansen in Joplin, Missouri.
Now, Operation Winter Storm coverage.
Snow, wind, ice, and cold. The first signs of a major winter storm are here. And if you haven't heard by now, conditions are about to get a lot worse.
Good evening, everyone. John McLaughlin has one eye on the sky and one eye on that Super Doppler radar.
And this could get pretty dangerous, John.
That can make a guy go cross-eyed looking at both things at once. Now let's talk about what's going on out there right now. We've had a very narrow band of moderate snow just to the north of the metro. It's piled up a little bit, maybe an inch or two as you head north up toward the Webster City area. Tell you what I'm talking about. It's 21 up there, but look at the narrow band from just northwest of the metro right through Ames and then on up toward Eldora. And we're actually getting some snowfall rates up in here that are very narrow, but they're up close to about ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch per hour going through Madrid and Ames. So as we move on through the overnight, we will see some narrow bands of a pretty good accumulation with some more widespread lighter amounts. Here's the road conditions. You see a little spot there of green right in central Iowa. Those are where the roads are wet. Everybody else now is pretty much 50 to 100% snow covered here in the state. Low pressure developing to the southwest is going to lift toward the Midwest overnight. This is already spreading heavy snow across Oklahoma. It will move into Missouri and southern half of Iowa tomorrow, along with strong winds creating near blizzard conditions. So 1 to 3 central tonight with that narrow zone of some heavier snow pushing 4 to 5. Blizzard conditions are likely by Tuesday afternoon into the evening. Storm totals will range from around 5 inches in central Iowa to more than 1.5 feet near the Missouri border.
Thank you, John. And now to Todd Magel live in downtown Des Moines. Todd, what's it looking like out there now?
Well, Stacey, I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but it's very, very fine, light snow that's coming down. It's been coming down this way most of the afternoon, and we've been out most of the afternoon and evening driving on roads. Pretty much normal winter driving conditions, but the farther north you go, the worse it gets. As the wind picks up, the visibility drops along Interstate 35 north of Des Moines. And that's the story Monday night. The farther north you travel, the worse it gets.
Pretty icy, and up north there's more snow and it's blowing across the roads. So we just have to go slow and take it easy.
Truck driver Ron Meyer is making his way from Minnesota to Arkansas. He's hoping to beat the weather. Earlier, the weather beat this trucker near Ames.
Just slick roads, went off into the ditch, and they're working on removing him now.
The Iowa State Patrol says I-35 near Highway 30 in Ames turned out to be one of the tricky spots as the first round of the snowstorm moved in. A semi-truck and 3 cars crashed, and tow truck drivers spent hours trying to get them out of the ditches. As always, the state troopers offer good, common-sense advice to avoid headaches like this.
Keep your speed down, make sure you're going slow, use a fair distance between yourself and the car in front of you. Giving yourself time to react is the most important thing.
Good advice from the State Patrol, and we have some more good advice from a familiar face. This is Bill Stowe, running the Public Works Department here in Des Moines. Bill, what have you been doing, and what have your crews been doing tonight to prepare for what's coming?
Todd, this is really the lull before the storm. Tonight we've been out, put rock salt in a number of areas, on bridges, hills, and intersections. Yesterday we put salt brine down on the arterial streets here in Des Moines. But this is really one of the great frustrations for county, city, and state crews. We're just waiting now as the storm moves towards us.
And speaking of the storm, this sounds like it could be a big one. What do your forecasts tell you, and what kind of a storm are you preparing for?
Well, Todd, there's been a lot of discussion about this, probably because how serious the storms were in the East Coast last week and predicted to be in Chicago in this storm. But we're seeing about 5 inches with very strong winds, which is not in the grand scheme of things a killer for us in the Des Moines area. But certainly we want people to take seriously the likelihood of whiteouts and tough driving conditions in rural areas in particular.
All right, good advice from Bill Stowe. Thanks very much for joining us live here on News Channel 8. So the city of Des Moines certainly is prepared, and it's good advice for everybody to be prepared depending on what happens tomorrow. Stacey and Kevin?
Okay, Todd Magel live in downtown Des Moines tonight. Thanks, Todd. As you heard, it's not just Iowa. Everybody from South Dakota to South Carolina bracing for this monster storm.
As many as 100 million Americans could be affected by the time it's all over. We take you to Missouri, where they are bracing for some of the worst. The governor there has already declared a state of emergency. Forecasters calling for a potentially deadly mix of up to an inch of ice, followed by 3 to 4 inches of sleet, and then a half a foot of snow or more.
But if you have to travel, an emergency kit is a must. It should include a blanket or sleeping bag, non-perishable food, water, a flashlight and extra batteries, matches or a lighter, a first aid kit, gloves, hat, boots, and a winter coat. Also, a shovel, jumper cables, a good spare tire, a jack, and a lug wrench. And as always, make sure you buckle up and take it slow.
Now, Operation Winter Storm coverage.
And that major winter storm we've been warning you about, it is here. Blizzard conditions with the blowing snow and bitter cold, and it is not over yet. Here's the very latest for you. Travel not advised over a good portion of the state. This accident on Interstate 80, a clear indication why that is.
A blizzard warning remains in effect until noon tomorrow, and after that, the wind chill will become a major concern. The Iowa National Guard has deployed 20 soldiers to southeast Iowa, where as much as 20 inches of snow is expected. Now, here's a live look at current road conditions. Nearly the entire eastern half of the state is red. That means travel is not advised. A lot of highways in southeastern Iowa are closed because it's gotten so bad they had to pull the plows. And all roads in Mahaska and Wayne counties have been deemed impassable.
Hundreds of closings and delays already come in for tomorrow. Most of the metro schools will be closed, including Des Moines Public Schools. You can find the latest list at the ticker on the bottom of your screen or 24/7 on KCCI.com.
And we have a team of reporters dedicated to helping you stay safe tonight.
First, we go to Chief Meteorologist John McLaughlin. So what's ahead overnight, John?
Well, gradual ending of the snow here in central Iowa, but intense snowfall rates to the east. We'll start first with a look in southeast Iowa. We have a webcam at Bussey, Iowa. 1 o'clock, well, it was breezy and some light snow, but watch as the afternoon progressed. You can see the snowfall just increasing, and pretty soon by 3:30, 4 o'clock, you maybe could see a quarter mile or so at the most. Here's the latest live Super Doppler HD radar, and I'll put this into motion for you over the last hour or so, and what you'll see is the heavier bands of snow simply not moving. They're now kind of anchored themselves just east of the metro, just north of Newton, with another band over by Ottumwa. I want to show you just to the east of us. This is where the most intense action is going to be, this area from Dubuque through Maquoketa on down to the Davenport area. All this area is now having thunder snow, and they will pick up well in excess of a foot of snow by the time it all wraps up. I've adjusted the snowfall rates based on the latest trends. Still looking at a storm total of 7 to 9 here in the metro. There's just shy of 5 inches on the ground downtown Des Moines, but as you head just south, amounts already surpassing 10 inches at Albia and Ottumwa, and that area of eastern Iowa, Burlington, Davenport, Maquoketa, and Dubuque will likely be 15 plus by early tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you very much, John. We'll continue to check with you for the updated conditions. Right now, the conditions are so bad outside, it's freezing our cameras, so Todd Magel joins us inside tonight.
And Todd, you saw the dangerous driving conditions firsthand on I-80 today.
We certainly did. We have been out most of the afternoon and, of course, most of the evening, and we found out why the State Patrol is warning people not to be outside tonight unless it is absolutely necessary.
Nightfall only makes a bad situation worse. What was difficult to see during the day is impossible at night thanks to more snow and more wind. This rest area east of Des Moines is now a truck stop.
It looks horrible. It's just complete whiteout. You'd be lucky if you can see 100 feet on occasion.
Day or night, travel along I-80 east of Altoona has been tricky. This multi-truck crash closed the westbound interstate for much of the afternoon. Traffic was backed up for miles.
The trailers are getting whipped in the wind, and they're causing traction. They're losing traction, and they're sliding off in the ditch.
A car hauler crashed first, then a short time later, another semi lost control and slammed into the first truck. It took several tow trucks to clean up the mess.
It looks like you had to sort of rip it in half.
Yeah, we did. It's the only way we can get out. The State Patrol wants to open the road up, so we do what we got to do to make it happen.
In most snowstorms, it's the snow that's the problem, but in this case, it is the wind. Blizzard-like conditions with winds blowing over 50 miles an hour, and that means, in most cases, you can't see beyond the car in front of you.
The State Patrol is hoping most drivers who don't have to be on the road will avoid it.
You can see the concrete on the travel portion, but it's a glare of ice. It truly is a glare of ice.
Ice now buried in snow in the middle of a blizzard.
Now, once again, the state is warning people not to travel, especially on roads here in central and also in south central Iowa. And Stacy and Kevin, judging by the forecast, it will only get worse tonight and certainly toward tomorrow morning.
It does look like it. Thanks, Todd.
Now we want to shift gears and go to Patrick Bell, who's out there checking road conditions around the metro.
He's live casting for us with photojournalist Spencer Vaughn, who is driving very slowly and carefully. So, Patrick, where are you tonight?
Well, Stacey, we are following 6 West Des Moines snowplow drivers as they try their best to clear off Jordan Creek Parkway just south of Interstate 80. Without a doubt, guys, some of the worst driving conditions I've seen in quite some time. I-235, I-80, we just exited off of. Many places is covered with several inches of snow, but it's the unbelievably gusty and those frigid winds that are whipping in from the north that's making even the most routine drive an adventure, because literally the second a plow makes a pass, the snow is blown right back onto the road. It's been happening for several hours now, and if you drove home around 5 or 6 o'clock, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Check out this video from Ankeny showing traffic moving at a snail's pace. Roads were worsening by the moment, and thankfully many employers let workers off early so they'd avoid being stuck in what the National Weather Service warns are life-threatening conditions out here. Now, back to live conditions now. You can see snowplows right in front of us, and these pictures, folks, show you really why you shouldn't be out tonight. There are tow bans effective immediately, meaning if you do get stuck, don't count on those tow trucks coming to rescue you. Snow ordinances are in effect just about every town throughout the state, meaning if you are parked on snow routes, you will be ticketed or towed. And the State Patrol remains quite busy tonight, investigating accidents and recommending no.
Okay, we've lost Patrick's cell phone signal, but we'll be working to catch back up with him throughout this newscast.
Meanwhile, Frank Scione is braving the bad conditions to the east of us, about an hour east of Des Moines in Grinnell. He is also live casting for us in that area. What's it like there?
Yes, Kevin and Stacy, we are just about 50 miles to the east of Des Moines and here in Grinnell, and you can see some big-time snow drifts ahead of us. Storm chaser Ben McMillan driving this evening, so then I can kind of tell you about what's going on. We left the metro about 6 p.m. this evening on Interstate 80, and I can tell you that the road conditions very, very bad out there. The crews have been doing a pretty good job of trying to clear as much as they can out there, but the secondary streets, a different story. You can see as we pull up here to the stop sign, obviously some delay between what I'm saying and what you're seeing on the screen. As we pull out here into the middle of the street, still a pretty good drift, about probably 1.5 to 2 feet high, where the crews here in Grinnell haven't quite made it out yet. We've talked to some locals around here, and they've said the crews haven't been out too much tonight, probably saving the bulk of the work for tomorrow when this wind dies down just a bit. On our way out here, Kevin and Stacy, we did see a truck in the median. It had actually just blown into the median right as we were pulling up, so definitely a dangerous situation on Interstate 80, and especially here in Grinnell. We're heading north right now on Highway 146. You can see Buick Pontiac dealership off to our right, pretty lit up, but it's also showing the amount of snow, the wind, and the very dangerous driving conditions out here this evening.